You are live now. Hello, hello, everyone. We are waiting for the peeps to join us. We're live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm thirsty. What's up, what's up? How are you and your baby doing? Happy Talk Tuesday. How are you? I just had to get breaks and I thought about you. I said, man, if only. If only. All right, our guest for today is here. So we will add her and we will get started. How do I do this? Boom. Maybe.
There we go.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How are
I
you?
am well. How are
I'm
you? Happy Talk
good.
Tuesday. Oh, I have to
Happy
sneeze. Nope, maybe.
No, it's Tuesday. Yeah,
Oof. I thought the sneeze was coming, but it has.
yeah.
It's gonna come when I can't control it. So, God bless me now, and God bless you. I'm
How are
excited.
you?
I'm well. I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Me too. It's a pleasure.
Um,
It's an honor.
I am pleased to hear more about your story and can't wait to learn about your path and all the things that you've gone through to get you here. So,
Thank you.
I would love for us to get started, and if you could share with us who you are and what you're doing currently for work or as your career.
Well, my name's Christene Lewis. I am an international author and speaker, along with a youth advocate. I kind of primarily focus on youth justice.
I love that. Okay, and so when you were a little girl,
Mm.
what did you want to be when you grew up and like why?
I wanted to be a pediatrician, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pediatrician because I don't know if you know TLC's The Baby
Y-
Story, but I
Yes.
used to watch that religiously.
Okay, okay.
And I always knew that I wanted to do something with kids, but I thought I would be a pediatrician, but the closest I get to a pediatrician is watching Grey's Anatomy now.
There. And you know what? I think that's the closest I probably would want to get as well. Okay, so when you were a little girl and you were thinking you wanted to be a pediatrician, how would you have defined success or what did success look like for you then?
Success would look for me back then when I was a little girl to be a pediatrician is somebody who would help me. Um, I always, if somebody were to ask me what my biggest goal in life now today is, I would say it's to be the woman that I wish I had when I was younger.
Mm,
So anything that put me in a position to help the little broken girl inside of me now,
mhm.
which I'm
That
still
is so
learning
good.
to let go of.
Yeah, I think we all are low key. Wow, okay, thank you for sharing that. So you are not a
No.
pediatrician. So can you tell us sort of your track and sort of like, did you like start taking medical courses and deciding, actually, no, this is not for me, or like just sort of path from primary school to college, or did you go like just what was
Mhm.
the path to getting you here?
So the path to getting here, to be honest with you, was my pain and my trauma. That's
Mm, mhm,
the path that it got me to here. My parents, they separated when I was a young child, like 8 years old,
mhm,
and I'm actually adopted, so I met my biological mom when I was 14 years old in like
Wow.
a setup kind of situation. I didn't even know that I was going to meet her. Yeah,
Wow.
it was like I walked into my aunt's house. If even if you didn't know the adults, you still better say good evening, good night, or good
Mhm.
morning.
Mhm.
And I was like, Auntie, who's that lady? And like, why she keep watching me like that? She's like,
Mhm.
Christine, that's your biological mom. So I didn't trust anybody then. Definitely didn't trust anybody now for that situation. And I kind
Yeah.
of spiraled. And
Mm.
I can say fortunately, because I've learned from my
Mhm.
lessons and stuff like that. I thought that the streets were more loyal to me than my family and my friends were at the time. So I was in and out of jail my entire youth, and it took one person to see me when I didn't see myself,
Mhm.
which was my correctional officer. And she's like, "You don't belong here." She goes, "Tell me your story." And I told her what I was going through. I've gone through early childhood molestation from my uncle and stuff like that. So, and when my parents separated, I stayed with my dad. I didn't stay with my mom. So my dad raised me as a single dad with my brother.
Wow.
So that also took a toll on me as well.
Mhm.
And when I lived in a shelter with my firstborn child, it was like a young women's residence, and I went left, stayed there for a year. I left, and I came back after,
Mhm.
and they said, "Hey, Christine, can you come just make a quick speech at the nurses' retirement party?" I said, "Sure, no problem." Went
Wow.
there. I kind of just spoke from my heart,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Have you ever thought about being a speaker?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "You need to be a speaker." So that kind of started my journey there in terms of getting into speaking. And I went to college for child and youth care. So then I got
Okay.
into the school board, started working with specifically youth who are involved in guns, drugs, gangs, and kind of help reintegrate them into mainstream education. It's not just about creating safe spaces, it's about creating open spaces. You can't feel safe where you don't feel open first.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. My brain is like, and I think it's so funny because at this point you're able to say it so matter of factly, right? Because
Yep.
um but it definitely is, that's a lot for someone to have gone through. And thank you for sharing that so transparently with us.
Awesome.
Okay, so you do the nurses retirement speaking gig, and do you feel like, okay, yeah, I can do this? Or do you like, what's it called? Like, what's that thing that I do often? Like push back your calling.
Self-doubt, imposter syndrome.
That part.
um, I had a lot of that.
Hmm.
I had a lot of that up until recent years. Even now, when people compliment me, I struggle take kind of receiving those compliments.
Hmm.
It's just like you think about everything that you've gone through, and it's like, should you really be receiving these compliments? Like, are you worthy?
Hmm.
Are you worthy? But then you got to think about it in term context of God. We're not
Hmm.
worthy of God's grace, but yet He still gives it. He still gives it to us, right? So
Amen.
it's that reflection. The most impactful place that my trauma took me is in front of the mirror.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's good. Okay, so you are also an author. How did you get into that?
Um, I wanted to release my pain. It was
Mm-hmm.
never really my intention to actually write a book.
Hmm.
I actually had a diary that my mom had bought for me, and I wrote numerous times in my diary, "One day you'll never be able to hurt me again. One day you'll never be able to hurt me again," over and over and over again. And she found it,
Hmm.
and she's like, "What's going on? Like, who's hurting you?" And I said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." Like, I didn't want to talk about it at all.
Hmm.
And I just kind of went through my story, wrote down my pain. And the hardest thing I had to do when writing my book is, how do I protect the guilty while remaining authentic to myself?
Hmm. Ooh.
So when I wrote it, I wrote it in a diary format.
Hmm.
So when I say like my uncle or my dad or my brother, you don't know who those people are.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
how my book starts is Dear Uncle. And I've written my book I've had written for 11 years before I published it.
Hmm.
I published it in 2020 when COVID, like peak COVID just hit, right? Um, and it was to really break my silence. And everyone's like, "Yeah, Christine, I'm so proud of you for writing your book." But I was re-traumatizing myself. But
Hmm.
it was the start of my healing process.
Hmm.
So it was time for me to heal for myself.
That's so good. And thank you for doing it, for your vulnerability, because I can't even imagine the strength and courage, specifically courage that it took for you to do that. So thank you. So how would you define success today?
I would define success today with loving yourself and being at
Hmm.
peace. That is the biggest success you could have in life is peace.
Hmm.
When you have peace within yourself and like your solitude, you're able to do things in life with a bigger impact. You move with impact, not just your intention. And that's like my motto in life. Your impact has to be greater than your intention. And when you're able to have that self reflection and you're able to have that peace through love, growth, and accountability, when you're able to hold yourself accountability, people think accountability is always a negative aspect.
Hmm.
Accountability could mean, all right, here are my goals. I wrote it down, stick to it.
Hmm.
So that discipline within yourself. So when you're able to have the discipline, the commitment within yourself, the growth, the peace, and the accountability, that for me is success and a solid foundation.
You are preaching to me, baby. And it is so good. Okay, yes. These are like the daily talks. I'm like, okay, girl,
Let's
consistency. I
do
feel
it.
and then, so thank you. It's so funny. I'm like, yeah, I have to do the podcast because, I need to inspire others. And it's like, no,
Inspire yourself. Yep.
it's selfish a little bit.
And
But
that's okay. That's okay.
thank you. Okay, so what is something that you know now that you wish you would have known a little bit sooner in your journey?
That God is the way.
Mhm.
And in order to inspire, you first need to surrender. So surrender to inspire. I wish I knew, like, I always taught, I always believed in God,
Mhm.
but I never trusted him.
Ah, okay. Talk more about that part.
Right. So I wish I knew to trust God
Mhm.
and to lean not into my own understanding.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And to have people who are Christ like. Everybody's so, you know, religious and religious centered. We forget about God. And then we
Mhm.
forget about the Holy Trinity. You need the Father, the Son, and the Holy
Mhm.
Spirit.
Mhm.
And sometimes we tend to leave that out. So
Yeah.
for me in my journey, I wish I knew to surrender a lot earlier. And I wish I had the right people around me in order to surrender.
Mhm.
And I wish that I knew that I don't really believe in generational curses.
Mhm.
I believe in generational patterns that had a lack of accountability, which then
Okay.
looked and reflected like a
Mhm.
curse.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you had that accountability and the right structure and the right foundation, if we actually leaned on the word of God,
Mhm.
we would have surrendered a lot earlier so that we walk in his word. It's actually not our way, it's his way. And when we stop walking in our way and walk in his way, our path will be cleared. He will clear the path. So I wish I knew that a lot sooner.
I think I'm going to take up an offering because you are preaching, preaching, preaching for real now. But it's so true. And I just posted a prayer yesterday from I think it was sometime last year or earlier in the year. And I was just like, okay, God asked me to do this Instagram live series, and it was supposed to be for 5 days to talk about, my divorce and why I started Affirmed Armor and blah 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 blah. And so I got to day 4, and I was just like, I don't want to, because after day 4 comes day 5, and then there's going to be another surrender and another surrender,
Mhm.
and it's like, God, it's too much for your girl, right? But I realized in that moment, I was just like, okay, you have to just keep surrendering. And so you saying that today is just confirmation, because it's truly not our life and our comfort does not matter.
Correct.
And our feelings do not matter. It is surrendering fully to Christ. And oof, thank you. Thank you for the reminder because, and the confirmation, because it's like, yes, but living through it on a daily basis can be tough, but it doesn't matter. It
Amen.
doesn't
We
matter.
got it. We got to do it. And I think it was it Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. I was watching a sermon of
Hmm.
his, and something that really stuck with me was nowhere in the Bible does it say for us to be an adult of God. It says a child of God. And that was a that was a big reminder for me.
Yes,
A big reminder for me.
we are not in charge.
No.
We,
No.
we are not in charge. We don't even get to become
Nope.
teenagers. Wow, that's good. Okay. Okay. Phew, okay. Because I'm reflecting and now I'm like thinking of the to-do list and all the things. But it's okay. It's not about me in this moment. It's about you. It's about us.
That's about us.
Um,
It's collaboration. It's togetherness.
yes. Okay, so Christine, um, like I just shared briefly, am the founder of Affirmed Armor Apparel and Accessories, where we remind you of a truth you've forgotten about yourself, or maybe you're ready to make a bold declaration and you're stating, your affirmation. And so I wonder if you can share with us your go-to affirmation or a mantra or motto that you share. I know you've said one, so maybe you could repeat it, but then give us one extra bonus.
My affirmation, this may sound very simple, but it was very powerful for me, is I am.
Mm,
And I don't even finish the sentence. It's I
mm,
am.
that's good.
Because it's a statement,
Hmm.
it's a declaration, it's something
Hmm.
you're making, it's like if you say I am tired, if you keep saying that over and over again, you're gonna feel more tired, right? So
Hmm.
sometimes, like, even if I don't feel like sometimes I feel like I want to pray, but the words can't come out.
Hmm.
So I'm just saying Jesus, Jesus, Jesus in my head over and over until the words come out. It's the same
Hmm.
thing with I am.
Hmm.
I repeat it in my head over and over and over again until I can actually say something out loud that's positive and affirming to myself. And I'll share with you that in my speaking engagements, especially with youth that I talk to that are suffering with anxiety or imposter syndrome or it's just their self identity,
Hmm.
at the end, I actually made them do the Superman
Hmm.
pose, where I just,
Hmm.
they stand like this because
Yeah.
just kind of enhance that self confidence. And I tell them to repeat after me, and I just say, I am that I am.
Hmm.
I am not what they say I am. I am what I choose to be. I am me. And then I
Good.
make them give themselves a round of applause because we forget to do that.
Hmm.
So that every morning I try to tell myself I am, and I allow myself
So good.
to just let flow throughout the day.
Hmm. That is good. I'm gonna borrow that. I'm gonna run that back. You probably will see that clip. Look, Brandon, I
That's
know you're
okay.
watching. That is the clip, my guy. That is our clip for the week. um, Shout out to Brandon, our audio engineer. Okay, so I am. That's beautiful. Okay, so can you share with us any tips or motivators that you use along your journey? So as you were getting to, this part of life, what
Mhm.
did you use to motivate you? How did you keep going?
A part of it was I didn't have a choice. You know, I I don't like the term single mom, so I'm gonna change that narrative. I'm a
Mhm,
mother that is single of four
mhm,
children with four children, right?
mhm,
I don't have a choice.
mhm,
Um, I want to break those patterns.
mhm,
I don't want my children to feel what I felt growing up. So my motivation is them.
mhm,
But before my motivation is them, my motivation has to be myself. Because if I'm not okay, they can't be
mhm,
okay, right? Journaling helped me a lot. Diving deeper into the Word of God. I think I bought like 5 different Bibles before I actually I found one. I just actually recently purchased it. It's the Christian Study Bible.
I've heard these. I think I just heard about that
It,
one.
it's amazing. It's
Hmm.
amazing. And I, just sit down and the other day I read. I think I was reading Psalms 91 for protection.
Mm,
And
mhm,
I just went into like a deep prayer while I was laying down in my bed, just in a deep prayer. And I prayed so hard I fell asleep.
mhm,
But it was the nicest sleep I ever had.
mhm,
So in order for like tips and stuff for success is journaling, consistent self-reflection, having discipline within yourself. And a lot of people think discipline is just doing what you say you're going to do. It's so
mhm,
much more than that. Discipline is about who you are as an individual, your characteristics, your values and stuff like that, right? Um Therapy.
mhm,
I'm a big advocate for therapy. Therapy and God.
mhm. Yes, my therapist is
Sometimes
in the chat.
I
Amen.
I I'm with my I love my therapist, right? Just having somebody to be with you on her journey, I think is a
Mhm,
big tip, right? What's the I was recently at a speakers conference, and ET the hip hop preacher,
mhm,
he made a comment, and he said, I pray for you for a business partner, for somebody that loves the way Jonathan loved David.
mhm,
That's what he said. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's having the right people around you. Um, it's do you have a circle around you, or do you have a cage? That's another tip. And it's okay if your circle changes. You grow. You don't need to stay stagnant. So that is probably like a hard thing that I'm struggling with too, because some people who've been with me for so long, sometimes they really can't go with you.
really can't go.
And it's hard. It's we talk about friend relationships and
Mhm.
grieving relationships, but grieving a friendship, ooh, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
No, it's the truth. It's the true thing, and it's funny because I realized that I think I was more. This is gonna sound bad, but it's my truth. When I went through my divorce, I was for sure more heartbroken over the friends that I lost, over the loss of that relationship, um, because I mean, I wasn't anticipating either, let me be clear. But the friends I had known longer, right? And so you wouldn't, in my mind, they would be with me through this relationship ending, but all of it ended, and that is what broke my heart more than anything during that process. And it's not something that we talk about enough.
No, it's not. And we really need to heal. I'll actually share something with you that my therapist actually brought up to me recently. And I cried. Like I did the ugly cry.
Like,
Did the
where's my
ugly cry.
tissue?
Right? Did the ugly cry. Um, till this day, I shared with you all earlier that I was molested by my uncle. And my dad and I are like this. Like that's my rock. And when I was growing up, not so much.
Mhm.
But there's been multiple situations or times where he said that he's felt the need to, or he's wanted to confront my uncle, but he just wasn't in the right space to do so.
Mhm.
And everybody looks at him in the family as like a mediator, right? So my therapist said to me, she goes, Christine, do you think the reason why you're so protective over your father is because you're still waiting for the day that he protects you? I cried in 0.2 seconds.
Oof.
Ooh, and I was like, whoa, whoa. But you have to have people around you who care
Mhm.
about your healing and your growth, who are going to ask those questions. Because I didn't even realize that that was an issue,
Right.
right? And she brought up a trigger within me, but it was a good thing because now I have to deal
Mhm.
with it. And I said, she's like, what are you scared of? I said, I'm scared of resenting my father. That's
Mhm.
like my best friend now. And she said, you can resent and love somebody in the same breath,
Yeah.
right? You just got to be able to do the work,
Mhm.
and you got to be able to heal. And healing starts with you. We always talk about the pain people did to us, and all the pain that they caused us, and all the trauma. Sometimes we got to look to ourselves first and see where we were in that pain and address it from then. That's the only way that we can deal with it. We got to start from the root.
We all have homework to do. That was powerful. My mom's in the chat and she said that is
Hi,
powerful.
mom.
Sheesh. That is so good though because you don't. And I think um yeah, we protect the people for multiple reasons. I think sheesh. And the two things can be true. I think
Correct.
that
Two things
is
can be true.
I think that's the thing that we also have to recognize. You know, they could be a great this and a bad that, and you can still love them. But it's definitely something that you have to do the work on.
Correct.
Sheesh.
Correct.
Tiff, we need to have another session.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
Wow,
it.
this was great. This was great. Okay. Christine, how do we support you? What do you have going coming up? How can we stay connected to you? Let us help.
um,
How do we help you?
the best way to stay connected to me is through Instagram. On my Instagram, this is Christene Lewis, or through my website, which I will put in the chat. I will comment. I have a couple of speaking engagements coming up.
Okay.
One is going to be at a church where I was asked at. It was so funny. A minister approached me because I recently won an award, the Black Diamond Award for Youth Advocacy, and he's like, "You need to be a minister."
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. So he asked me to come in and speak to the young women about like resilience and stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing that November 30th, but that's in Toronto,
Okay.
in the T dot.
Okay. Yes. I forgot you are in Canada. Yes. Wow. We should for sure do this again.
Of course. And if you're ever doing like an in person, I have no problem coming to you.
Yeah, we are learning how we're going to expand this brand. It's a part of that surrender that I'm doing, you
Yeah.
know? So, we will see what is in the future for us. But I don't know if you're seeing the chat, but people are saying you're amazing. They're obsessed with you. Encore, please. Do you have a circle or do you have a cage? Now, you've definitely dropped some gems. And we'll make sure that this is in the show notes as well. Pin comment, boom. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you for having me.
transparency. Thank you for sharing your heart and your story with us. My goal in doing this, like I said, is for others to be inspired by your story, others including me. And I am truly inspired and a little convicted, not gonna lie, on a few of the things that you said. So I know I have my work cut out for me. So again, I want to say thank you. We will be looking out for how we can support you moving forward. If you have any like stuff on YouTube or anything that we can watch and run the numbers up, we'd love to support you in that as well.
That's it. You know what? That's also a part of my surrendering too is, going back to YouTube. I went for like probably a month or two and then stopped. But if you want, you grab my book. Grab my book. It's available internationally. So it's available chapters, Barnes and Noble,
Okay,
Indigo, Target.
dope.
So yeah.
Congrats. That is
Thank you.
huge.
Thank
That is
you.
huge. So congratulations. And okay, so I forgot to do this, but I remembered when I rewatched an old episode. We have to be still and smile at the
Okay.
camera so that we have um a cute frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's gonna be awkward. We're gonna be silent. We're gonna be looking at the screen, just cheesing.
Tell us the
Um,
podcast is coming.
period. The surrender. We are
Coming. It's coming.
surrendering. Okay, so let's be still and chill
Okay.
for
All right,
five
hold on.
seconds.
All right.
Ready? One,
Yeah.
two, three, cheese. Great.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us. If you just tuned in, the full episode will be on our YouTube, and you can stream it anywhere you listen to your podcast later on today. Thank you again, Christine. This was great, and we will have to figure out how to reconnect
Of
because
course.
you were amazing.
Thank you.
Have a great week, everyone. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.